Hello everyone, this is Oliver from NeoTeas, and today we are going to talk about two different stem teas, so two teas of the same kind, and have a look at how the taste of the teas differ from region to region. So what I brought here with me on the one hand is the Kukicha from Mr. Watanabe from Yakushima, and on the other hand I brought with me the newly launched Kukicha from Mr. Osada. Two different teas, same kind, so stem tea. I'm going later into it. The region wise, this one is from Yakushima, so it's on the very south of the main island. You find Kagoshima, and you even take the boat for 2 hours on the island and Yakushima, the island with the highest density in organic green tea farmers in Japan. And we go also to Shizuoka. This is 2 hours south from Tokyo, and this tea is grown in a so-called organic village in Isagawa. And in Isagawa, there, this tea has been born as a mountain tea, or for Japanese mountain tea, at a level of around 700 meters above sea level. Good. So I would say let's go right into it, and I'll have a talk about these two stem teas. So stem tea in general is a mix between leaf and stems, and you can clearly see it here. What the difference is that really you have a mix of the brighter parts, so the stems of the leaves and parts of the leaves themselves. This is the case for both of the teas, but what you can already see, for example, that Mr. Watanabe, which is this one here on this side, so maybe just to be in line with the package showing, so here we have the Mr. Watanabe Yakushima tea, and here we have the Mr. Osada tea, so the white pack versus the silver pack. And what you can see is that really also the amount of cookies, so of stems in this tea, is a little bit higher than here. Here the ratio of leaves is a little bit higher. Good. So then, how do we do this tea? So mostly what is special about Kukicha is, as it is a mix of stems and leaves, it has lower caffeine. This is one of the main things. On the other hand, it is quite alkalizing, so it's not an acid tea, it's an alkalizing tea, so it can even be drunk by children. And what is also impressive about this tea is that it is highly mineralized. Sometimes, if it's coming from a little bit too astringent sencha, it can be very acid, kind of a little bit this acidity of the minerals, like this strong mineralization is very, very strong. And this is also something you have to look after when you buy a Kukicha, is that you really go for Kukicha or for a sencha, and Kukicha from a sencha which has been shaded, so this acidity and also the stringency is rather low, but still having this good mineralized taste. And this is something very important about Kukicha. So a good afternoon, evening tea can even be drunk by kids, and with a low caffeine, and showing a little bit of a kind of a fresh and slightly acidity or slight acidity due to the fact that it is highly mineralized. So then let's go into it directly and have already a first thing is to have a smell of the tea. So I have a little bit of sweet corn flavor here. I have the hay flavor, which is typical as for the stem tea. But I have a lot of sweetness. A lot of sweetness. Let's go to this one here. So much more grassiness. The hay flavor is also more dominant. It seems a little bit lighter, so not so strong in smell. So Yakushima is showing a little bit more of a grassy flavor. Also a sweet note, but much less intense than with the Kukicha from Osada. Here clearly we have kind of a popcornish and sweet corn flavor, which is much more dominant with this one here. Good, let's go into the brewing. We just leave it in around 100 milliliter, 150 milliliter, depending what you're looking for. Mostly I do 150 milliliters, and you do it around 65 degrees Celsius. This is around 150, 155 Fahrenheit, so I don't go too high. You can even go up to 70 degrees, so around 160, 165 Fahrenheit. But I like teas to brew them not at a too high temperature, due to the fact that you extract much more the sweetness of the tea when you have lower temperature. So we just leave it in now for 1 minute. So what is interesting, for example, about Yakushima, just to give you a small insight, is it is an island deep in the south of Japan, but it is also a UNESCO World Heritage due to the beautiful forest which is on Yakushima. Maybe you have seen the film Princess Mononoke, and there the Mr. Miyazaki, so the director of the film, which is an anime film, this he has been inspired by the forest of Yakushima, and the forest of Yakushima plays a major role in one of the main scenes in this movie. On the other hand, we have Shizuoka. Shizuoka, a very known tea region, which is known to produce around 50% of the whole tea in Japan. So a very well-known region. Very beautiful, close to Fuji, so mostly when you see like tea fields showing the Fujiyama in the background, there you know that it has been taken either in Shizuoka or close to Shizuoka. You have beautiful views on the Mount Fuji. Good. So now let's go already in the liquor. So you see the liquor here of the Mr. Osada tea, so the Kukicha from Osada, is quite interesting in color. More a little bit yellowish, more yellowish, while here we have much more of a greenish jade green color. They're quite similar to each other, but still here this jade green color is more coming through, and here you have like the yellow golden color. Now let's go into the taste. So there's a light tone to it. There's this kind of this grassy sweetness in this tea. I certainly have the hay flavor, hay coming from the from the stems. I have the mineralization of the tea, which is a small lingering on the top of my tongue. But in all, more fresh, a little bit more of a grassy toned tea. And now I have a lot of freshness really developing on my tongue, in my palate, that I have kind of a wave of freshness, which is quite nice with this tea. So a little bit waking up my senses, very beautiful in taste. On the fresher side, a little bit more on the grassy side. There's a little bit of sweetness with it, but not a too strong umami flavor. Then let's go in here. So umami meaning the savory Japanese flavor. Yeah, much more creaminess in the water. So the water seems a little bit denser, a little bit of a nutty, creamy note. There's much more sweetness, much less of this grassy freshness of the tea with it. Really a lot of nutty flavors around. I would say even almond, a little bit of cashew nuts I can feel here. Then going into a sweet, so it's pretty surprising. Normally the teas from the south, they're much more sweeter, but as Yakushima and especially Mr. Watanabe, they try to make this tea as close as possible to its origin. And on Yakushima, that you have cold weather, and there's especially the winter is pretty cold. They really arrive, or they can maintain a strong freshness of the tea, and even when they shade it, the tea has a light, fresh and grassy tone. Here we can really feel much more umami, much more of the theanine, which is quite impressive for me because the tea here has been shows a little bit less of leaves, more stems, but still has a smoother, a creamier, and a more nutty flavor. So very, very different. Same tea, but can play out in a very, very different way. So it's quite interesting for me. And I have to say, today I'm more on the side of this one here. So the Mr. Osada convinced me today a little bit more, but it really depends what you're looking for. If you're looking more for a little bit of a creamy tea, a little bit more nutty, a little bit more of a slight and finer and more subtle tea, then this one here, this Kukicha, is definitely a good option for you. If you're looking for a little bit more of grassiness, freshness, a little bit more this invigorating and waking up, not invigorating, but kind of this waking up spirit, like it, then this tea, this like fresh Kukicha from Yakushima, is definitely something which you should try. Good. So this is it. This is the explanation of these two Kukicha. So I show them to you again. So here on this side we tasted the Kukicha from Mr. Watanabe from Yakushima, and here this one here we tested. This is the Kukicha from Mr. Osada from Shizuoka. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.